Testing captioning. Testing captions. All right, it's not all. Oh, yeah, click that. Just click the button. There we go. All right, so we are recording and we have captions on. So if you are saying something and you cannot see it appear in the caption, it means the people online did not hear you.
Okay. Okay. That's great. All right. 363. Shall we, get started? This started. Okay, it's called to order. Assuming we can, we're calling to order. Welcome everyone. This is Housing, Land Use and Zoning for the Community Board 9. As always, we are here to be the community's voice. We are the sounding board for the community. And that's what we have done for many, many years. So most of you in this room know that Liz and I were not reappointed to the board, so we're no longer going to be officially on this committee. We hope whoever comes after us takes the same approach we did, trained by the best. Taught us that community is first, and we are the sounding board for that community. Take that responsibility very seriously. I'm not going anywhere. I will be attending meetings. I will be in the community doing the work that I do all the time, which is on my block and in my garden and all the other things that I do. I'm committed to this community no matter how I'm involved, right? Liz,
I mean, I don't have anything to say right now. I think we should just run the meeting as if we would, and then I would propose that under new business that we have a discussion about
I move to amend the agenda to add that under section 6 new business.
session. Hey Clayton, we called the meeting to order at 6:37. Yeah.
It'll be on the screen.
all right, and then thank you, Clayton, for the minutes. Would everyone get a chance to take a look at those?
Yes.
Okay.
There any
changes to
Any
the
changes to the
minutes?
meeting?
No? Hi.
I move to adopt the minutes.
Very good. Thank
Need
you.
those seconds. All in favor, say aye.
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 And
Minutes are approved. So introduction.
introductions. So I'm Stephen Mortensen, former co-chair of Housing, Land Use and Zoning. I have been in this community about 16 years now. I've been on this board, was on this board for 12 years. And look forward to serving this community as I always have. I'm on 150th Street between Broadway and Amsterdam. Yeah. Liz, you're next.
Liz Huptick is former co-chair of Housing, Land Use and Zoning, Community Board 9. I've lived in the community for over 20 years. I live in an HDFC on Convent Avenue. I do historic preservation as my full-time job. So giving back, and my historic preservation job is mostly not in New York City. So I like to be involved in the community here so I can give back and know what's happening in my backyard.
Some folks are on the Zoom waiting, they say. Is there a area that we're not getting people into?
There is no waiting room,
Yeah.
so they may have an old link. I heard that happened in another committee.
It happened with LPP that last week, who was in the room.
So now the link is looking on.
Just look on the agenda.
But is that?
Right, but
That's
is that,
the-
what
that's
did
the
you
right
click
thing.
on? What did you click
It
on?
just changed
On the
this.
one from 8%.
That we sent or that Ashley sent?
It's on this agenda because it just changed this month. So we send them what's on the agenda, they should be able to gain access.
The
This is what
BitLY.
This is what I clicked on.
I'm curious. Oh, that.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'll send it to them.
Put it in the, oh, they can't see.
They can't see it, they're in the chat. But other people may be trying to get on. I don't know which link people are finding.
Yeah.
No problem.
Is that the one that got sent by my Gmail, the Bitly?
No, well, most people don't look at the comment, just go with your.
Yeah.
So if you're not getting it, so it's just happened, that's what they did, that's what they figured out.
Well, we should try
I
to,
see if I can try and send out one to come on MailChimp. Perhaps see if people are trying to do that. Okay, nice. Let's see.
I'm gonna try using the email of the.
Try the one in the, just registration. Interesting. I didn't get a meeting registration on the one that was sent by the office today. I tried to register on this one. It says join new meeting. Yeah,
Should we just shift to the new meeting? To the
Good.
system, to the one we're on? Is
but
there?
now some people are thinking that I just sent I just sent a note to some neighbors. That's how they just got it.
10, why do I not see 10 on here though?
Many of us were denied access to the Zoom invite, so you guys decide what you want to do, but resend it or yeah. There are a lot of us that were denied access.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, it looks like we've just realized that a different link was sent today. That is different. I'm gonna see if I can send a quick MailChimp out with the correct link from today. With people that are waiting can get in.
Yeah, this kind of sucks for all of us who want to be here for this meeting, but the technology seems to not enfranchise us.
Yeah.
Got it.
Do you mind if I take a second on that?
Yeah, Barry, I'm gonna send another MailChimp out.
I don't think the Bitly's correct, either though.
This one is correct.
Well, the one that
This
they
is
sent
the-
today
this
is
is-
correct,
this is
so
the
I'm
one
gonna
that's
resend
correct.
that.
Cause I just tested it.
That was from Ashley talking.
Yes.
Yeah, that was from Ashley. I apparently didn't know that there was. Updated. Sounds like. So. I'll just resend it.
These were recurring meetings.
Yeah, I had one that was a registration.
One that Ashley sent out to Zoom, the job form.
Maybe do it written. We don't.
We don't know on that meeting. Somewhere.
Oh, should we get into that other meeting? Maybe I can do that.
Hold on a second. See if there's any pop-up on that screen now. There's no alert or anything. Do you mind if I?
Yeah. I've got like too many things going on.
Yep, hold on.
Bear with us, guys.
Apologies.
So the one is the one that we sent around, Sydney?
It's the one that's on MailChimp because I was not told about it.
Didn't know. So, I'll go in there and tell them. Cause I'm not on the Zoom.
Yeah, I can send you MailChimp.
What is this? Oh. That one.
Waiting for host to start the meeting.
That's us.
Yeah.
We can't be on two at once.
I'm not on to, but I'm not the host of your meetings.
Put that.
I need to be logged in.
It's the Bitly's.
You need to close out of Zoom. And down to yours now, I can't do it.
I'm,
Are you,
I'm in a Zoom now with the new meeting. You want me to go to the old meeting?
yeah, somebody, whoever has the ability to be in charge of the old meeting, which may be.
You want me to go?
It's you,
We'll go shopping.
Well, what's weird is that I don't.
Anthony, you have a few minutes to bear with us. You guys are good, okay.
Thank you.
So that's us. Where is this other meeting? Unless they,
Have they finished the site on 130 Fifth Street? Parking,
oh, I think it's a whole new Zoom account.
Yeah, that's why
I'm sending a mail to.
I can't do the fact.
Yeah, so it's now like a Gov one or something, right?
90% keep waiting for batteries.
I mean, or
yeah, looks.
we can post a note and tell everybody to get out of this one and go into yours.
Are you in that one?
No.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
I think she tells everyone to come to this one, and I send this out with the new link.
Let me email you that.
She next door?
She's next door, and that just.
Yeah, just yes.
But tell everyone in that meeting. Okay, the email, Gmail or the MailChimp just went out.
All right, I just emailed Yutha and gave her the correct information.
Got it.
To send people on that account to this one.
Feel like when you had in West.
August.
Oh, so that's.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your. Oh, well,
Yeah. Grew up in San Francisco. Moved to San Francisco.
Is that true? I don't know.
Yeah. All those beautiful days,
Oh,
it's just foggy all the time.
oh, I'm gonna remember very well.
Yeah.
I had friends in, Sacramento.
Yeah.
3 years ago. So you. Probably cross country drives. College roof.
Nice. I've actually been thinking about doing that.
It was so nice.
Then I just like.
Yeah. Stop it, right?
There we
Which.
Yeah.
Everybody's coming in. Welcome, everyone.
Hi, can I make a suggestion? If someone is not doing it already, could you log into the other meeting and tell people there to come to this one?
Yep,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Our office manager, our district manager is doing that on the other account now.
I was driving. Both of these. So we.
I mean, when did we get this new?
Something out of the movie. So I'm gonna, please pause with a little light on top.
A lot of things we haven't.
Well,
talked about.
Yeah.
I lift for the minute, see, no, below when the guy gets up, stuff out of this 6'5", had that cut, that big cut, that.
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Pete.
It happened, so when fell back. Going a little fast. So this is what you get. Here's the ticket. Go for losing something, go to the courthouse, see the judge, pay the ticket. So, okay, so the two people with me says. What if we don't play with something? You can call and say, it's like, please.
So this one's not. Yeah.
Progress.
I was stated. We don't want that.
There we go.
So we're going to eat.
One, sorry for the technical difficulties. We were not aware that there was a new Zoom link. And so our committee sent out the regular link that you have to register for the meeting. And the office sent out a new meeting link. So we haven't started the meeting. We did call the meeting to order. And we're gonna get started in just a minute.
They forgot.
Sorry about the mix up.
It was fun.
All right.
In the old one, I'll monitor if you're posting the link.
Okay, is anyone still in there?
No, just.
Okay.
I'll keep it.
All right, ready? So back to our regularly scheduled program. We've called meeting to order. We have adopted the agenda.
The minutes, we,
The agenda up,
yeah, let's do that.
agenda.
Do. Putting the agenda on the screen now, guys, so you can all see it.
And I think where we left off was introductions.
Yes, let's just start those up again.
So while Sydney gets up, the updated agenda, I would like for other members of, Housing and Land Use and Zoning to introduce themselves. Barry, would you like to introduce?
Yes, I am Barry Weinberg. I am also a maybe now former member of the Housing and Ministry in CB9. Lived in the community 17 years, and I've been on the board for 12, 13.
Same as me.
Yeah. Yep, and I live on 138th Street in Riverside.
Hello. You. Clayton, the next.
I'm Clayton. I'm also a former member of Community Board 9, that's the Land Use and Zoning Committee. I'm moving to San Francisco later this year, but I will still show up for this month, the next month.
And Clayton has been an excellent minute taker this whole time. All right, I think that's everyone in this room. Is there anyone online?
That is.
Oh, and that's in the other room.
The other room, I didn't see one.
I have not seen one yet.
Okay.
Our one standing.
Victor, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Victor Inglis, I'm chair of the board. I've lived in the community for the past 45 years. Been on the board 13 years and look forward to continuing on the board. And I just wanted to say a thank you to our co-chairs who've done outstanding jobs. So well that they're not being reappointed to this board. Our loss, but I know their spirit will bring them back to us with information and consultants. So I'm very pleased with that. Thank you, ladies.
We will come back with the institutional knowledge. That's what we lose.
Do you want to go to next? You want, let's do it in the room. Let's have Tiffany. Would you like to go next?
Sure, hi everyone, I'm Tiffany Khan, I've lived in the community since 2008. Grew up in south of Hudson. Well. Side. And I guess I would like to welcome you guys to. Hey, Tiffany, how are you? Welcome, Sydney and Liz to a wonderful group of troublemakers. When you stir up good trouble, these are the things that happen, but that's okay. All right, chickens do come home to roost.
So Annette.
Yeah,
Why don't you give us a little introduction of who you are?
doing introductions?
We are.
We
We're
are.
back to introductions.
Okay, welcome everyone. Glad to see you here. I am Annette Robinson. I have lived in this neighborhood since I was 7 years old. I have served on this board for the past 13 years as a city member. This is my last meeting as a voting member, but as the reoccurring thing is, I am not going away. I'm here to serve this community and expect to be here as a public member. And will just simply say, if we care about community, we have to live that, show up, be here. We cannot give our power away. So thank you everyone for being here. Love y'all.
Thank you. We do have some public members.
Hi.
How you doing? Our district manager here,
You got Friends District Manager, I just wanted to come over and give Sydney and Liz a hug and just thank them for everything.
Love you.
I guess you are gonna have to bear with us.
Yes.
You did not know that you were. You did not know that you were coming to a party, but. No. Anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not moving. I'm going anywhere. Yeah, because last time I went anywhere. You know, I love flowers. I haven't found the toast Friday.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I mean it.
Yep.
Okay.
We're friends.
I couldn't leave without saying something.
Okay, love you. Good night. We'll see you Thursday.
Yeah. See, we just one
We'll see
big
you
happy.
Thursday.
Let me go. Have a good night, everyone.
Oh, there's one.
One. Come on.
You are the last real member of the committee.
The last
You're
one.
the last.
Oh, yeah, right.
So, when you
Hello?
just introduce yourself.
Dig
take
me?
the time.
Hello?
All right, so who do we have online right now? We have
Tanya.
Tanya. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, everyone. Tanya Gallo, public member on the Housing and Land Use Committee for about the 3 years. And it's good to be with everyone tonight.
We have Jared. Is Jared on?
No.
Alana's one.
Ilana is on. That's right. She is on leave of absence, but she is here. Ilana, why don't you say hello?
She's on mute.
Hi, sorry, I'm having some problems with this link. What's going on? This is horrible. I just got the email. I'm so sorry. I've been on LOA. I've had some financial issues and dealing with housing issues and also some health issues. But and I'm coming back in June, but what on earth is going on? This is awful.
We're asking the same question here, Ilana.
Alana, we haven't got.
I want to
any-
echo Alana's feelings. Signy runs this block, our garden, picks up trash on the weekends. I don't understand why this is happening. She's an advocate, not a political person. I just don't get it.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. So I think we should move on with our agenda and we'll come back.
Yeah,
We have more to say on this.
we added to the agenda a discussion of the future of the committee after the city college update.
Yeah.
Under new business, so
Yes.
our good friends from City College agreed a couple weeks ago to join us for this meeting, and I really appreciate you coming. And would love to just have, you know, regardless of whether we're here or not, that you continue to come to Community Board 9 meetings and just let us know what's happening in your neck of the woods, and yeah, we can continue to collaborate and be a part of each other's communities.
And thank you for the updates. And we'll just we can introduce ourselves, and thank you, Liz and Signe, for the invitation. I think it's important for us to continue to have this dialogue with the community and for the community to understand what's happening on campus and surround. And Liz, we pretty much see you from the avenue every day. So we're happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Anthony Shield, Executive Director for External Relations, and my colleagues and bosses are here, but we'll introduce ourselves and we're happy to just give you some updates as to what's been happening on campus and we can expect to be.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Scott Gerba. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of City College. I have to say, I like the love. There's a lot of fuss going on. But, you know, I read, you know, the notion of community very much resonates with me, so. Hopefully what we share will be helpful.
Yeah.
I'm doing the.
And if you
Speak up a little bit.
Yeah, watch your,
Scott, sorry.
if you watch the screen, if you hear, or if you see your stuff on the, captions, then everybody can hear it.
Okay, I'll have an abridged version. Hello, everybody. My name is Scott Gerba. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of City College. I'm relatively new to the organization, but the concept of the community very much resonates with me. It's something I've done my whole career as well. And so hopefully what we share today will be helpful.
And hi, everyone, I'm Dee Mozalewski. Anthony and I are actually partners in the same office. We've got government affairs, community relations, public events, fundraising communications, and anything that's innovation, workforce development. But I think in this room, the one that's got the most overlap is probably our Betty's Pantry, which does a lot of work on campus, but also work off campus in our local NYCHA houses, 2 of our senior citizen centers in the neighborhood, and 2 of our churches. And then we also run the community gardens out of our office. So it's nice to be here. This is my 14th year in the community, and it's really great to be here, but also at City at this time. So Anthony, you're lucky if you get skipped again. Okay,
I'm Jorge Yapar. I'm the AVP of Campus Planning and Facilities. I'm an architect by training. I'm actually a graduate of City College, so it's great to be back. Many moons back. And yeah, we're very excited to be here and hope to share some of the great things that are happening too.
And I know this when you reached out to us, there are a couple of projects that you had some interest in find out. I think one was even that parking lot project. We have the firehouse project as well. Here is something to just general updates on this item and. Oh, they can hear us very well. Okay, so sorry, I think they can hear me now. So we're gonna give just an overview of some of the projects that we have on campus. Liz and Sydney did reach out to us saying they were interested in getting some updates on some of those projects. We do have the firehouse project, which is on West 140th Street, just off of Amsterdam Avenue. So we can start on that and then move down. We have the NAP building, sorry, the NAP parking lot project, which is the solar roof project. We can then jump in from that. I did know you had some questions around Concord Avenue itself. So we're happy to just go back to brief on that. Where should we start?
Firehouse? With the firehouse, yeah, I know that's active. I see that they're working there.
Can we add the alumni house or whatever?
Oh, across the street from my house.
Yeah.
So as Anthony mentioned, our capital program is very robust. There's lots of things that are going on that are visible, some projects more visible than others. The firehouse is a interior renovation, comprehensive renovation of art studios. And we anticipate really having beneficial occupancy by summer of 2026. So all the staging related to construction should be done before then. North Campus.
Going back to the firehouse, so the
Yes.
firehouse is an academic,
Yes,
it's a art school,
it's an art studios.
art studio,
Yes,
art studios.
as a.
And there's no residential.
No residential.
No, it's just, it's just
Okay.
academic, okay, yep.
My guess is also that, I would be surprised if there are gallery components to that when they open up. It's will be studios and
Oh,
kitchen,
yeah.
right? But,
On the ground floor,
I mean, it's gonna be a brand new building,
Yeah.
right? So it's meant for art displays, studios. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a component of that as they get kind of open, comfortable.
yeah, that'd be exciting.
Yeah.
Have an art gallery to pop into in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's an old building, so they've done their best to keep the cosmetics and, we wanted to make sure it's, the
It's not,
beautiful
and it's not
doors.
landmarked.
I don't believe it's landmarked, but there are, there's traits to it, make sure it's character of the community. I mean, the architects go out of their way to make sure that that's, how they want it to be preserved, right? Like they have these beautiful doors, right? We don't love those doors.
Yeah.
Can't find those doors unless you go to Prague, right? So one of those kinds of things, we want to be sure we keep refurb as opposed to replace.
Great, that's great.
And
And how are,
firehouse is considered which building again? I didn't hear that.
West 140th Street, just off of Amsterdam Avenue. The old one.
Okay.
sort of like if you're at
Yeah, I
Cafe
think
One,
city,
it's like
so-
kitty corner, sort of like kitty corner, one in.
Okay.
And the neighbors in that area are, I haven't heard any complaints or anything.
Not particularly, I think we've done a good job of the last couple of years of keeping the neighborhood updated in terms of what's happening. It's it's a large construction project. There are some inconveniences and street closings. We communicate that in advance to the neighbors, postings on the street. We do have an internal communication as well. We try to stay up to date on any major things through Utah and also from Sean Abreu's office. If there's anything that comes in from the community at all, we try to respond to it as soon as possible, both to the community members, the council members' office, or to you, but depending on where the outreach is.
It's always clean there and I mean, that's, yeah, usually, I mean, that's my path to go to the one train, so I always pass by it. Never any issues.
Yes, and the nature of construction is what it is, but we certainly try to be best neighbors that we can, and we try to incorporate everything we need to make sure that the neighbors are inconvenienced as least as possible.
What helps is the construction manager also grew up around the block. And so he has a vested interest and
Yeah.
commitment to make sure it's
Doesn't make a
clean,
difference.
tight.
Folks live in the neighborhood and care about the neighborhood,
Yeah.
it makes a difference.
And I think it's important to point out that, I mean, this is a building that's outside of the proper campus, and so there are additional challenges with that, and, speaks highly of City College that there are no issues, and it always seems like it's, just moving along. That's great.
Not parking lot, so then maybe the other night outside. So the night parking lot is the main parking lot for the campus located between Conrad Avenue and Amsterdam Avenue on West 135th Street. Into what makes those into, we just in the midst of completing the current phase for a solar roof project. And we'll need to go into a little bit more about that, but that's something that started last year. I know Liz, I think you had a question about that as well, or someone had reached out for that project, so we can go through that project a little bit and.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those initiatives that is, on our path to decarbonization. It's a solar canopy that is tied into chargers, that's tied into also storage battery outside. So it has a component of being able to charge vehicle. It's substantially completed. We're still waiting on the battery install and some interconnections with the existing electrical infrastructure. But I would say it's almost there. In a matter of months, chargers should be active. And then there's a similar project that just kind of started with similar scope, again, on this path of trying to improve our ecological footprint and decarbonize. Of an additional canopy at a South Campus parking lot, and a similar scope with chargers and a solar canopy. And there is also the exploration of investigating the installation of chargers along the right of way, so that the community may have access to them. It's the planning process. Something that we are really looking into as an option.
You may want to consider just for that project only popping by the Uniform Services Transportation Committee of the board, which deals with the road beds, among other things. But I'm sure they'd love to hear.
And this project is part of a broader university effort around decarbonization and improving our carbon footprint across the university system. So this is one of many projects that the University on a whole different market.
Is there a thought that solar could help add to the electrical, the needs of the campus?
Not really, the footprint is not large enough.
I mean.
To make a real impact.
Right, I mean, beyond, even the neighbors, I mean, that would be just great if we could create our electricity.
Yeah, I think the generation of it, because the footprint is kind of limited. But there are other steps in order not to electrifying some of our systems that will really have a bigger impact.
Yeah.
But it's a really long process.
So I was interested in this because I got an electric vehicle. And I saw the chargers going in, and I can tell you, as someone who is a new owner of an electric vehicle, there is nowhere to charge my car. Anywhere near where I live. So if there is an opportunity to allow the community to use those chargers, and you wanna charge for it, you would make money. Because there is no charge. No charge. I drove to Yonkers on Saturday.
There's some charges underneath the highway by 130.
They're all slow charge.
Yeah, and I'd like to ask a few questions about, I graduated City College in 2001, but I stopped going in 1996. The people I know who went to City College, we never graduated, just left City. And back in those days, Giuliani was really nasty to us. He treated us really poorly. And I remember, I teach at Randall, and I remember the kids who were demonstrating for peace, how poorly they got treated. It doesn't seem like City College is part of that community, so nobody was able to walk in or out. I bike, I couldn't even walk, I couldn't even bike. You will look at me. I've been in this community since 1993. Every kid I know went to that school. Nobody that I see there looks like anything like the people that I went to school with. Writers, actors, artists who gone there, ashamed of the treatment. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Juan.
Okay, so, the NAC parking lot, what's next? Alumni.
Sure, so, I'm sure you all already know this, but in case you don't. So city doesn't own our buildings, the state owns all of our buildings. CUNY had Alumni House as one of its listed 27 properties to sell. To try and sell during the pandemic, they were trying to sort of wind down buildings. They pulled Alumni House off of that sales list along with a couple of other smaller buildings, just because it sounds like they weren't getting interested parties at the dollar amount that was set by the state. Fast forward to say, about 7 months ago, the Episcopal Diocese reached out to us about St. Louis Church Street. They've actually been asking City College and a number of other places if we would be interested in partnering in some type of renovation of St. Luke's. Neither organization had enough money to do it on their own. We think we might be in a place now where we're ready to make a pitch beyond the city. We've already made one pitch to the city for support, gotten some traction. The total renovation of St. Luke's alone is about $27 million to do a gut renovation. But what we're hearing from the diocese is that there's interest at the state level to co-sponsor some of the renovation. What I'm hoping is that if that's true, and it's not in this current budget, it wouldn't show up in this budget because it wasn't a formal ask, that we could wrap in Alumni House in the same conversation. We're just starting these conversations. We've been, years ago, my gosh, I'm breaking out of the thing. The gentleman who owns also. Alex, so his father, Alex, reached out to the college and said, we'd love to buy this space. Community wasn't selling at the time. We could figure out this St. Luke's / Alumni House renovation. It could change everything.
Yeah.
I just learned.
Back street to abandoned buildings.
Do you all know what Startup New York is?
Yes, and that Common Avenue is for That's church are working on that, and they're also.
So I just had a conversation with such a partner that about their something. And they got a penthouse, and I asked him, how did you get organization that about doing outside elevator? And he said, I didn't think much space. So we're actually gonna go take a look at it after Wednesday to see how they managed to get this approved. And not lose floor space, which is one of the challenges. So it's just a pause to say, none of us likes having an abandoned building, and the Episcopal Church. Episcopal diocese doesn't like having an abandoned building. If we can figure out some way of partnering with cities and funds, both space dispatches and city ground. For really good use.
That'd be great, that would be.
MTAs.
And I don't know what's happening today. There's a train every minute.
I also, please, low voice, I apologize.
I think I hear maybe the 70% of what.
Yes.
So
At best.
I'll project, my question is that, when this came up before the board 10 years ago. There was significant concern from a landmarks perspective about adding
The external.
the external elevator, but it sounds like that's being considered again.
If it's true that they were able to not lose space, so the other issue is that when we, as on that team came up to say we'd like to do alumni house 10 years ago. The cost started at 3.5 million.
Mhm.
By the time the external elevator was priced, it came to 16.5 million. Well, there's no way, we could have afforded it, but it would also meant taking funds away from student programs. And at that point, we were gonna be losing about 1,000 square feet of space in a relatively small footprint, right? If the gentleman off the streets figured it out for this penthouse, it's in our side of New York umbrella, then maybe there's a different conversation we have. We've had now.
Do you
Or let one go.
want the elevator on, you wanna put it on the outside?
We, no, at the time, that was the only approval we were getting, the city was an external elevator.
External,
Which is
because I
actually-
had this conversation with landmarks about the building. And they said, oh yeah, we I said, well, the project never went forward because of the elevator, and they said, oh, well, we approved the elevator,
Yeah,
but I
that-
didn't
that's not
realize
fair.
that there was.
There was no presentation to the community board before LPC for that one.
That's right. That's right.
There was some discussion about that.
Well, we did have there was a presentation to the landmarks committee.
There was.
Yeah, there was, I was
I
there,
think the board, I'm sorry, I think the college presentation
And I think-
happened late because we got pulled into it late from the phone call school. That's always.
Yeah, they went to the LPC and they said, well, no one responded from CB9, and we collectively lost our minds, and then we all got.
oh,
Yeah, it's fine.
yeah.
It was
yeah.
sorted out, but
Yeah.
yes, the elevator's been discussed.
I mean, I remember, yeah, that was one of the sticking points, and then I remember I just recently said something to them about it, and they're like, oh yeah, we passed that, like, landmarks does whatever they want. But that's great,
It
that's
was
great.
really good, especially because the bishop of the diocese has sort of taken this on as one of the goals is to solve the single issue as well, so it could work out for everybody. We can look at how.
Would a letter of support from the
Right.
board be helpful in attempting to secure funding?
When we're ready for that, absolutely.
Okay,
Right now, we're
Right.
doing the site specs of St. Luke's to get the full scope of what's needed for the congregation. So
Great.
yes, 100% we will come back to you when St. Luke's is ready with the voters.
Great, because that's a property that's been on our radar for many years.
Yep.
There was one more, right? Oh, Convent Avenue.
Convent Avenue, yes.
Common Avenue.
Continue to speak up, I'm still getting stuff.
So ever since the uprising over Israel and Gaza, we have a lot more fencing up and down Common Avenue. And that fencing within the last 2 months has gotten worse. To the point where on the east side of the sidewalk, you can't enter on the sidewalk and you can't exit on the sidewalk. You have to walk into the street. So what's the thought behind having pedestrians walk in the street around around the.
The east side of the side, that's what does it pushes everyone over to the security.
Right.
Security booth is on the west sidewalk, by the high school.
So.
But
But even like when you walk past the gymnasium, the science building, and you get to the high school. Because I encountered it yesterday of the fencing you have to turn around and walk back, walk into the street, walk around the fencing.
The 136.
The overpass.
Yeah, the overpass.
Right. Want to talk overpass, that we're, because part of it's staffing.
Yeah, part of it's staffing and, I mean, the fences over the last, what happens is we're constantly monitoring social media. And trying to be as prepared as possible for more service or protests. And so the fences have allowed us to deter another again. So that's
So that's that is to deter more protesting.
100%.
I mean, I see the kids preparing in St. Nicholas Park.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we-
Yeah.
we are really trying to avoid something like happened to Baruch the other day, right? It's just, so we have a lot of monitoring. And it's, I don't know, once a week, once every 2 weeks, something's brewing. And what we're trying to have is the nimbleness to respond quickly. So in some cases, the gates are closed, in some cases, we have it open. And it's really on the level of risk. Is how nobody wants it closed. I mean, we talk about this all the time at the president's level.
And that's why some of the gates are also closed and some are open.
Yeah, and so that's a big thing. The staffing, our public safety staffing is also a challenge, through COVID. It's very difficult to have public safety employees, and so to supplement that, we've gone out and hired contract guards because we need public safety. And so we have a large contingency of contract guards who are trained, but nevertheless, they're not 15-year CCNY public safety employees. It's a very different type of employee. And so that's, in the NAC building alone, there's 26 exits. There's 26 exit doors in one building alone. And we have 20 buildings. And we have a South Campus that's very vulnerable. The lawn is very vulnerable. And so we spend a lot of time as a leadership team with public safety, with CUNY at large to figure out what's, as little as necessary, as much, little as possible, as much as necessary type of thing. But we are keenly aware of the optics. We're keenly aware that no one likes fencing on an open campus. Last April was not pleasant. And we've been able to.
Oh, yeah.
We've been able to deter that for a year. And it's a real risk assessment conversation.
It's also, I'm sure you can all guess this, it's also contingent about what happens at Columbia. So, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we had about 45 minutes to get gates up because we were alerted that the Columbia protest was coming uptown. You're 100% right, if the gates can be open, they're opened, but we're also responsive to whenever Columbia is telling us they're expecting Columbia to come uptown. And it's interesting, we'll go to our students, we had a protest 2 weeks ago, and we say, you gotta show us your ID, this is the approved spot that you can be in for protest, like it's in the designated area. 2/3 of people walk away because they're not City College students, they're not employees, and they're not students, and they may not be CUNY, but the campus is open, and so people come to campus, which makes perfect sense. We expect a protest on Thursday. The whole city has protest signs for 2 different reasons across the city on Thursday. I guarantee you all 26 campuses at CUNY will have the same issues as CUNY does, anyone else will. The problem is that sometimes we get a lot of notice and sometimes we get no notice. I think that's one of the other challenges. But usually what happens is we'll get notice on social media, it'll come back to the teams. Anthony's the next person I tell, so you can tell out, but we don't always get that out. That's a real challenge.
Who gives you notification?
So it depends. So right now, the things that I know are happening on Thursday, it's all public on social media.
Okay, so you're learning from various sources on social
Yeah.
media.
Right.
Yeah.
It's word of mouth, so to say.
Exactly.
And some have permits.
Students.
Right,
Sometimes
and I see them getting set up behind the house.
There was one at Jacob Schiff about 3 weeks ago that had a public permit. NYPD was aware, it wasn't on our campus. And then the one that happened 2 weeks ago on campus, the notices went out that morning to all rally at City College. So it depends, it truly depends on who's organizing whatever that means.
When there's a rally, do you, you don't let the public onto the campus? So if I was walking through, you would say you can't come through
I
today.
would say you can come through, if it's the way it was 2 weeks ago, where we shut down everything,
Right.
then no one can come to campus unless they've got a City College ID.
I will say that that has not happened to me since last year.
We haven't had to.
Yeah,
It's fine. It's probably when you're coming.
It's, you know, I mean, to get here, I walked through, I was walking through campus.
You know, one of the things that might be also helpful is, we don't know how long this is gonna last. And so, one of the things that Jorge has been suggesting is, and we don't wanna rent fences forever, like cosmetically and architecturally, they don't look nice as well. And so we're trying to figure out ways where we can, put certain barriers and fences that are, almost invisible. You know, they have arches, they're more in the architectural, cosmetics of the campus. And so there's things we can do to, one, a little bit more curb appeal. And be nimble and flexible when we need them to be versus what we have today, which is, you know, not pleasant to look at and very restrictive.
Yeah,
So those are things we're building into our capital plans. Yeah, thinking ahead, because this could last. Who knows, this could last for years, right? We don't know.
I just want to make a note for anyone who is joining us via Zoom. If you have a question for our colleagues from City College, please raise your hand and we'll continue to either monitor the chat or hands raised if you have any questions.
I've got the chat, I'm monitoring that. We'll
And it's, you know, we also have 2 high schools on campus, right? And so it's a broader conversation.
And when school lets out, you don't want to swim upstream.
No.
So.
So unfortunately,
Yeah.
we're quite seasoned in this because we've had our fair share of protests, but
Yeah.
you know, you just watch the news, it can get out of hand really, really fast. We're trying to avoid that.
I mean, there's Title VI regulations around access to campus, and so if we have a protest at 40th Convent here, and it bars the high schoolers from leaving, you're in violation, potentially in violation of Title VI regulations, so that's the other kind of nuance that you end up playing with gate presence or doors open.
So there are actually one more question about Convent Avenue, because there have been, I forget who said it to me, but that there were conversations at City College about turning Convent Avenue that is currently closed to vehicular traffic between 140 and 135 permanently and making it a pedestrian thoroughfare. Is that still an ongoing conversation?
Yeah, it's interesting, we have embarked on a master planning exercise. There's been no master plan for City College for probably 50 years, since the 70s. And so we've hired a top-notch architect firm to think about, you know, the next 15 to 20 years of the campus. What type of teaching rooms do we need? What type of flow do we need? How is pedagogy changing? What do students need today that they didn't need in the 70s or 80s? And so, I don't think we're ever gonna close Convent Avenue. If you talk to the Department of Transportation, you talk to urban landscape and architects, that's almost like the last resort in a multi-phase type of evolution. But what you can do is make it more green. What you can do is make it more pedestrian friendly. What you can do is make it more inviting and welcoming. I would say half community, half students, because everybody recognizes where that campus is, and it's open. So I never say never, but our intentions are not to close the street, and I don't think DOT would like that. I think what DOT would partner with us is how to expand the curbs, how to think about more planting. and Dallas how to think about more signage and marking for pedestrian crosswalks. Things that you would see maybe in other campuses. Squares, intersections that are, maybe a little raised. That say, hey, slow down, you're coming to a campus. Those are the types of things that we're exploring. Closure doesn't feel like.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions just yet.
Oh, yeah, I just had a little bit of experience with this. I grew up on 23rd Street, and 25th Street is one of the exits for the downtown FDR. It's also the street between two Baruch College buildings. And for years, everyone would say, we should close this to traffic. Oh, it's not possible, DOT doesn't like it. But as you know, they've come around. And the 25th Street between 3rd Avenue and Lexington Avenue is this wonderful sort of oasis in Midtown. So, it's an idea. But I had one question. Was there a correct follow-up on the idea of microgrid on 69Y? I know it was floated, but I just thought that you were doing some of the electrification projects, so maybe that,
Like you're talking about electrical?
That's just a big project.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's been relatively quiet,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been quiet for at least 9+ months, there was a little bit of traction. A lot of it is what I'll just say experimental, and we require things on the roofs and on sides buildings, and we don't like things on roofs inside buildings, we want a roof on a roof, so it's been relatively quiet, to be very frank. But on the closures, it's interesting, one of the reasons why we also aren't being very assertive on our closures, we don't think the community would like it, because people aren't.
No.
Yeah, so it's another,
That clear with Columbia.
kind of heard that at the
Right.
early
I mean, and-
stages, right,
right.
so we're not.
What's going on at Columbia University is also within our community board, and if you come to a full community board meeting and hear the community like very angry about the closing of the right of way. So I would not recommend doing.
I mean, that's a catalyst of why we're.
Different though,
It's
isn't it?
different,
Like,
yeah,
it's closing
but we were also
We're talking about.
talking about walking as well.
Both the vehicle traffic too, and
Yeah.
that is a big
Walking,
deal.
driving.
We would not be-
Yeah.
A lot of us would not be happy with that, I understand the pedestrian friendly, but in New York here of late, pedestrian friendly means that we do not allow cars access. I don't own a car, but I ride a taxi. I'm on 135th walk, that's a shortcut that lets me get here quickly. I've got the side street that's there on not 141st, but 142nd. You could swing around, and it may not inconvenience thousands, but it inconveniences enough people that is not what a lot of us want to look forward to see. So I hope y'all keep that into consideration.
I met with the provost a few months back regarding this. I guess some residents had gotten wind of it and some businesses. I eat at a Fumo Flow restaurant up there, and I often talk there, and the businesses said to me, are you really gonna close? I said, well, we're talking, right, and I use it as a shortcut of path to go through. I think from 8 to 6 is a nice time to be closed, maybe more green would be good, things like that, but to close it. Especially with what's going on, we are right now a pilot project for the sanitation bins. So we're losing about 5 to 6, 7 parking spaces per block. So yes, another thing. When I park there in the evening, it's full.
Yeah.
And then just walk through the campus.
Just to that point, one of the things that was floated was not the permanent closure, but I don't know if you'll know this better, the hydraulic bars that lower and raise. The other issue is that the streets can't be closed permanently because it might be in some. To be able to raise a bar that's more aesthetic than a gate or a bar to be there, and then lowering that bar at 6 p.m. would work.
Yeah.
And the flip side to it is, we've had 6, not major, but they're major enough, 6 hit and runs on closer to 135th Street, so people walking towards 135th to cross over to Spitzer Building in the past year. So some way of thinking.
Yeah, no, I mean,
and then one of the most dangerous streets in our neighborhood is actually 141st Street between Convent and St. Nick at the bottom of the block.
Yep.
So I would just say in your master planning, please consider our block, the engineering building. I mean, if you're looking at
It
St.
extends to that.
Luke's,
It does extend.
because the traffic there in the morning and the school buses and then all the, you know, it's really dangerous. Everybody blows through that way.
Absolutely.
And most people who are going to school or live in that neighborhood know you do not cross the street until all the cars stop, because they don't stop.
So to summary, it does extend, planning does extend to where you're talking, and, the president hears that concern of closing Convent loud and clear, and so, that's, you guys should hear that. And so in lieu of trying to ram that through, let's talk about maybe some green, let's talk about, safer pedestrian, not this evolution of closing down Convent, so.
One question.
I have one question, then we should move on to some of our new business. I had another question in the chat to add to new business, so.
Okay.
Edwin Torres.
Thank you, Sydney. I think that we have to be cognizant of the community, because Colombia did the same, and now the community has a space that is completely lost. This comes with great intention. You might have a great administration, but years later, things do change. And you cannot predict what the future is going to look like. The only thing is the president that we start today. Colombia did it. Doesn't stop anyone that takes public spaces from privatizing them in the future. The other is that CCNY has these buses that literally the train is a couple of blocks away. Other CUNY school do not have the same service, and they have a longer block to walk. These buses in the community create pollution. At the same time, they are increasing the traffic around that corridor that was just spoken about. So CCNY should really study whether or not these buses are necessary to get to 145th, literally a few blocks.
Yeah, I will say, one of the things we're trying to do over the next 10 years is electrify our fleet, so that's one. The second is, those buses are packed, they're packed. And they run until almost 10 at
We
night.
could say it's 3 blocks.
They run almost till 10 at night.
Exercise, walking up that.
Yeah, but
I'll end with, as part of our master planning exercise, we've surveyed thousands of kids about what they want, how long is their commute, what do they care about, and those buses went right to the top. Interesting that they want food, they want this, they want that, they want the escalators to work, but the buses went right to the top. And so, I hear you, but, and some of those buses are new, but some of those buses are quite old, and so we're looking to change the fleet over, as we're thinking more planfully about our fleet.
Yeah, I mean, not to take away, it was easier on my block when there wasn't parking on our side of the street. I mean, I don't wanna say we take away parking, but it would be, I mean, it was easier. Like, I remember we put parking there and I was like, I know, it was so much easier. I mean, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I mean, the car traffic is, yeah, definitely study it.
Just one thing for the buses, for the question. We have a piece that we have to also add in, accessibility issue questions. We do have a number of students, faculty, and staff who, for accessibility reasons, need to have the buses run.
Yeah, but I went to Binghamton. We had a much bigger campus and we walk a lot more, and we understand accessibility and the students, but literally this is 4 blocks, guys. These kids are walking longer than that within the train. So we have to be realistic about this.
That was used a lot because in the 90s and the 80s, we used to get mugged all the time.
That is.
Let's get this in our heads. This was a safety mechanism.
Yeah.
Okay, if kids wanna use it because they wanna use it, I don't know about that. But I still only hear about policing I still haven't heard anything about talking to these kids. These are the future of New York City. These are not just somebody who's coming into the building, somebody coming into the campus. These are kids. This is the future. I teach those kids. They graduate and they make it to that school. They're not causing trouble. Their families are dying. I haven't heard anything about that.
Thanks, Point taken, thank you, Juan. Moving along, I think.
Maybe just, I know you guys want to move, but there's one project that is gonna be really nice, I think, for the community, and that is our Marshak Plaza. Up on the roof, not the roof of the Marshak, but it's the next level. And it's a very big green footprint that, we're told today should be in use by spring of 2026. It'll be very green, it'll have, sports courts, it'll have, picnic tables, it'll have outdoor Wi-Fi, et cetera, so it's.
And accessible.
Absolutely accessible to the public, so it's gonna be a really nice addition of green space. It's a very large footprint, it's a $40 million project, and it's coming to the end. And so I'm really excited to see it open up, and I think it'll be a nice, kind of retreat. A little above.
Yeah, I look at those, yeah, rendering.
In addition, we're designing right next to it, the administration building, and completely overhauling that into a much more green space, much more kind of hangout collaborative space. And so that one isn't well in design, but the Marshak Plaza will come online in about 12 months, and that would really, I think, be a nice amenity to certainly the kids in campus.
And as we wrap up, I just want to invite you all to come see our 6 new trees and our 2 new big plants. And our hot pots will be in bloom in about 2.5 months.
Where?
You know, when you walk to the quad, where the high school is? Those, that grove right there, those are 6 pawpaw trees that are all fruiting. They require hand pollination, but they are fruiting. And the fig trees are all on the South Campus, and the 6 new trees all came from New York Parks. They were part of the donation project, so.
Great.
Come visit.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope you come again to these meetings.
Right.
Don't be strangers.
Don't be strangers.
I mean, I'll see you. Yeah.
Thank you. Moving along to new business, you go. Moving along to new business, I do have one question in the chat that's valid that we need to address real quick before we move on. Many of you might have heard that there was another fire in the neighborhood on 149th on Broadway. We're overrun with fires, it feels like, right? Someone is asking, what's gonna happen with the housing for these folks and things like this, and I know we've addressed a lot of fires in this area, so it might be good just kind of address what happens after a fire and who's there to assist and how we do that. So the one that happened on 149th and Broadway, I think 4 units were affected. Maybe more that were out and then were able to come back in, but Vic and I were there the morning of. We were able to gather some names of some of those folks that were displaced so that we have them in a group chat so we can connect them with legal services if needed. With any assistance they need for housing. What happens immediately after a fire, just so you know, is Red Cross gets involved. And that's temporary housing for immediate impact after a fire. So that's temporary housing.
We're 3 days, maybe.
Not very long.
In a hotel.
In a hotel, yeah. And then some people will find, friends and family and things like this, but Vic, I know you suggested to them the Palante Farland.
Yeah, I reached out to Palante.
Yeah.
They were aware of it, but I just gave some more detail, told me I had a list of people that were there.
Yeah.
And Elsie was gonna get back to me.
Yeah, so the Volante helps put pressure on the landlord to actually restore the building and get them back in the apartment. In the interim, they file a document with DHCR that reduces their legal rent to $1 a month so they can retain the right to the apartment. And HPD actually operates its own network of HPD runs shelters for fire displaced family victims.
Specific housing for folks that are seeking shelter after a fire.
Correct, not through the normal homeless shelter network.
Yeah, and there was the other fire on St. Nicholas Place where one person fatally just fell, I believe. That one was quite an ordeal, and we actually got meetings here at the office together, and we assisted in getting the one of the biggest challenges after a fire is getting tenants back together, because they get so scattered after the fire, right? So that's why we immediately got names and numbers of the people on site that had just been evacuated, because keeping them together unified is a big deal after a fire. And this was a big building on St. Nicholas that, you know, a lot of people were displaced, and it's, you know, I'm sure it's still running the gamut, but we've been offering this office for meetings with Palante so that they can come together and figure out. And they went through this process that Barry is talking about, where they were able to file to, you know, pay just $1 a month for their housing until they got their housing back, were up and running, and back in their homes. So that's some of the things that happen after a fire. Yeah.
The fire 143, was it?
35. Yes. Yeah.
How, there was some issues with the landlord, how, what's the status?
I don't know what the status is on that.
We brought on the Riverside, I believe they've been confirmed.
They're all done?
I believe so.
Okay, so they've gone through the process, the landlord has refurbished. Okay.
How about 145? Would that probably have 50 months left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, 145
floor between Broadway and.
Broadway.
Between Broadway and.
So the second floor.
Next to Jimbo's, we can.
We can request an update.
Yeah, we'll get an update on that.
They said it was a space heater.
There were a lot of things wrong with that place. I heard they even found body in the backyard, so. Those people have been locked out of their apartments. And they're slowly letting some folks back in, but there are a lot of things that was
The other thing that no one is,
discovered after the fire.
a lot of times people lose all of their possessions because even though they gate the building, there have been incidents, including the one on St. Nick, of people immediately breaking into their apartments. And
Yeah.
a lot of immigrants tend to have cash. And so their entire life savings is gone.
Yeah, no, that was an issue too with the one on St. Nicholas, where people were finding they came back to their apartment and things were missing, because people were, you know, the building had people coming in refurbing their units and things, and they found things.
But it happens within hours.
Yes, no, understood, like people coming in immediately after, yeah.
So I'm just NYPD and DS, FDNY and so on.
Yeah, usually NYPD, when the first couple of days have someone on site, monitoring and at the entrances, but I agree, it's a problem. All right, so I hope that was an understanding of what happens with housing for people immediately after and then moving forward with fires. The cause of fires is another thing to discuss, but and you've got e-bikes these days that are an issue, and things like that, but we continue to explore that. All right, so I believe we are to our next business item, which is discussion of what's going on this committee. And what has happened. For those who were not here at the very beginning of the meeting, because you were on the other link, we added to the agenda that discussion. We began the meeting, of course, I think everybody knows at this point that Liz and I are no longer on Community Board 9, which we just got our letters, which means
Yeah, I mean,
we're ad hoc at the moment.
Received phone calls on Friday.
Yes.
At the end of the day on Friday.
Right, yeah.
And I believe Eric Cuello conveyed to someone that this was a request by the council member Sean Brave. Although both of you are in borough president slots, you are not in councilmanic slots.
Officially, we're Mark Levine appointees.
Right.
But as you said, there was much pressure.
Right, and that's from the director of the community board affairs in that office. But I think this is really disturbing because what we've heard is that this is retaliation for the community board's position on 1727 Amsterdam Avenue and on 701 West 135th Street. So as a refresher, 701 West 135th Street was a proposal to rezone a manufacturing lot that is a train repair station originally.
It's a sliver lot.
It's a sliver lot to allow for construction over the Amtrak tracks. We raised concerns about the suitability of that site for residential use.
Only after Amtrak told us that the developers had not gotten approval for the project and that they didn't think that they were going to approve.
Right, well, and Amtrak followed up to say that they shared the community board's concerns and have no interest in seeing the site developed in that way. But we were chastised by the council member for being.
And I would just like to add with 1701 is that, or 701 is that Signy and I held a hearing as required by the Euler process.
Yeah.
And during that Euler process, the sentiments of the community, minus one person, which was Clayton, was not to support 701. And so I would like to go on record to say that I do not vote on the community board on my own, that I vote based on the wishes of the community and what I think is best. And I would say, when you have a unanimous room, minus Clayton. And I understand, I know, and I really appreciate the fact that Clayton, you know, Clayton saw it as housing and we need housing, and I agree. Like, we do need housing, but every project is different, and this project is dangerous. It is a tiny sliver slice, and it doesn't make any sense. And the entire community said, we don't want this. We don't want this for the future of people who might live there, and we don't want it for us. And that is why we vote. That's why I voted against it. And I think it is crazy hypocritical of any elected official to oust people because we are supporting the will of the community. Because isn't that why we serve? Is to support what's best for the community and what the community wants and what the community doesn't want.
And we all don't have to agree. Clayton is on the board. He has the right to say no. He's not interested, and he's a vested member of the board who, even if he doesn't agree, he has the information and he's gonna present that says this is why he sees a thing. We're not here to function at the behest of an elected official. We're here to serve the community. And the bigger point becomes that when elected officials begin to think their position is based on them as opposed to us, that does become an issue. Okay, they are here to work on behalf of the people, not the developers, not here elected.
The city of New York.
Yes, the city of, not those concerns that matter to them, right? And
For the
so,
people who are paying for their reelection or their election into another office.
exactly.
Well, and I think it's worth also emphasizing that, you know, April Tyler taught us many things, one of which was that we are not the board of no.
Right.
We are the board of.
We say that every time we talk.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, but it bears repeating now.
And
And
vote.
we are the
We are
board
not the
of,
board
here's
of
how you
no.
can improve this project. Here's what you like to see. We have recommended upzonings on several lots when we see an opportunity for more.
Including 1727.
Including 1727. And so, you know, I think the other major concern has to be, you know, Sean Abreu has put children of his staffers on this board. He has appointed people his campaign pays on this board. When an elected official pays you and then has you serve on a voluntary board to represent the community, are you going to contradict the person who signs your paycheck?
Right.
No, and that's wildly inappropriate, and it's inappropriate that Mark Levine allowed him to do that. And this is a pattern we're seeing where they take off people who show up who contribute, who do work, who write resolutions, who take minutes, who make quorum. And they put on people, many of whom don't show up to a meeting, have never been to a meeting. When they show up to their first meeting and realize how long it can be, they don't show up anymore. And
I'd like to make a comment. Look, I don't think we have to get into Sean or Adafe or anyone else, or Tiffany or anyone else. The fact of the matter is, these two board members have served our community with great respect and dignity. And so at the end of the day, they have fought for tenants. They fought for all of us. I see a lot of people have left the meeting, but the city council candidates, right? But Liz and Signe have done a great job, and they don't deserve their volunteer work to be punished.
We've worked hard for me personally 12 years and you 15, honestly, and I see this as disagree with us and we're gonna kick you off. That's how it feels to us, it's a threat, but that's how it feels straight up.
Wait, we need to go back to what Barry was saying, because when Tiffany got booted out.
Yeah.
I asked the board president to come here and tell us what his protocols are to remove people. And then we got a whole bunch of people coming in and none of them made it. If I miss a meeting because I have to work, or it's an event that I cannot postpone, and I'm here, if I say I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be here. And I open my mouth when I have to, and I listen to these people talk all the time, nonsense. This guy came one time and told us that he was passing a resolution on snoring because he had a meeting somewhere in the Caribbean and he had a breathing problem. Are you joking? Oh no, we were gonna give people rights to wear any hairstyle they want. Are you joking? And then they refuse to come. Don't be scared. We're just human beings. But I think that day we should have stood up because Tiffany was very important and her removal hurt. And now you guys are gone. And what they're trying to do is shut this thing down. Show everybody that we can put you down and you have nothing to say because you can apply again. But what guarantees you that they're gonna look at you again, right? And if they don't pick me, I couldn't care less. I'm still gonna come back and you're gonna hear me. And if I go to your office, I'll wait until I meet you. I don't care who you are. Nobody should be scared of you, but we need to stand up for each other. So I hope the next time this happens, or I hope the next time we see these people, we talk to them in their faces and we talk to them.
I went to Sean's office today, cause I live one block from his office, and I was turned away.
He's not.
We're gonna get to some questions online in just 1 second. Go ahead.
We should go together.
I mean, I went over there because
Tomorrow.
I
There's
wanted
going
to
be a
ask you.
Candidate forum.
Well,
Okay.
let's not get.
Hold on, guys, hold on.
No, I think.
We have some questions online and I know we have some folks that wanna speak. And I just, for anyone that doesn't know, yes, Liz and I have just been taken on, but we also have 3 members that are leaving this committee, not reapplying to the board. And it's pretty much now a gut, right? We've got 1 standing member and 1 on leave of absence, so that's where it stands, someone was asking.
But this committee has been targeted ever
Yes,
since
But
the
it's been
new
targeted.
administration.
Right.
Tiffany,
Right, this has
Anita,
only
David.
happened, this has only happened
Yeah.
since Mark has become borough president.
Yeah.
This did not happen under you.
Can we go to
Layla?
some
Layla.
questions online?
Yes,
I see Layla on the line with her hand up. Thank you, Layla.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. My name is Leila Logizico. I am a district leader and I represent Chelsea. I am a former community board member, sitting on Community Board 5. I actually resigned from Community Board 5 to actually sound the alarm on appointment practices that I felt were inappropriate, including the stacking of the community board with lobbyists. But I want to share tonight with you the fact that Community Board 4 has experienced a similar situation to the one you are experiencing. And I have permission to read a letter that was drafted by a member of Community Board 4 who just learned that he was not reappointed. So with your permission, the letter is fairly brief. I would like to read it for your information. So the name of the individual is Viren Brambat. He's an architect, and he has been a member of Community Board 4 for 6 years. And he writes, he found out that he was not reappointed, and he wrote to his colleagues. I received a call from Councilmember Eric Botcher today. He wants me to step out of the community board before my term expires, and told me that he would not reappoint me this year, which I believe is a moral failure on his part, since it is triggered by my differing position on NYCHA, Fulton, Elliott, and Chelsea project. Manhattan Borough President's Office interviewed me for reappointment, but Eric still wanted to interview me, which I went for on April 23rd. Now, this is what Botcher seems to want to do, a disturbing choice, though would let you know. This is not just disappointing, it is a deeply troubling example of an elected official weaponizing their position to suppress differing opinions and reshape the board to serve political interests. It undermines the board's independence and strips the community of authentic, diverse voices. That should be a space, what should be a space for civic engagement and accountability is instead being crippled by political interference. I felt it was important to share this with you.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, see you, Layla.
Thank you very much.
Can I say something just to follow up that? So Eric,
You can go.
Eric Botcher was the council member who, at the start of the September 17th meeting, when we were speaking about 701 West 135th rezoning, praised Sean Abreu by stating, "Oh, it's difficult to say no to a project like this. I would like to commend the council member." And I said outright, "Have you actually read the resolution? Have you even walked through this community? How dare you respond in such a manner?" Whatever it was that I said, I don't know. But these are the types of elected officials that we have. Another council person, whose name I will not mention, has told me that as soon as Mark Levine became borough president, he started to remove people across other community boards across Manhattan. This is the person who's now running for comptroller. Do we want the fox in the henhouse?
Tiffany, I really appreciate what you said. I think the issue here is not Mark and Sean.
We've got people before you that have their hands up, so just.
Want to speak, please?
Hold on
Put your
one
hand up.
second.
Yeah, and Tanya, I think you had your hand up if you wanted to speak.
Yeah,
No,
Ilana.
And
okay.
well, Ilana had hers next and then Clayton. Ilana, I know this is a bit of shock for you, it sounds like, and you are leave of absence committee member.
Yeah, is Barry still on? Like I mean, I don't even know what's going on. I just saw an email. But I mean, so who's left? But I do.
You and Juan.
You and Juan.
You and Juan are left.
Is Barry, are you still on the board? Like,
No.
are you joking? What? Oh, did they? Okay. But I just wanted to say that, you know, we need to get this out in the press. I mean, you know, it's this whole regime change, and I'm not going to get into the whole thing because I think a lot of us know what's been happening and whatever. I'm not gonna open up that can of worms, but you know, this is like high school bullying, and it's disgusting. And we know why this is happening. And again, I'm not opening that can of worms either. But you know, we got to get this out there in the news. I know there's been articles about what's been happening on the other boards and everything, but I think that we have to fight this, and I think we have to be vocal about it, you know, because
Yeah, we agree.
ridiculous.
If anyone has any comments, please raise your hand, and I've got Clayton, and then I have Liz, who want to make a statement. If anybody else wants to make more statements, please raise your hand.
Annette, and Barry.
All right, well, Clayton.
Yeah, so first something to say, and then the procedural question. First, yeah, I wanted to express, like, I'm also very angry at the situation. I think it's, ridiculous on a political level and ridiculous on a non-political level. Like, I think for me personally, like, the most formative time at the committee was the meeting after the fire. And I saw how much expertise, like, politics completely aside, the committee brought, how much we were able to be resources for, how much you all were able to be resources for this. And, like, I think it is extremely harmful to sacrifice all that. And I'm grateful that you all are willing to stay involved and share your institutional knowledge. The thing I wanted to ask is, because it's there's a lot of people here, it could be potentially a very long meeting. Procedurally, is there a way to do public comment or something where we can, like, people speak for a certain amount of time or something, or like, I don't know the right way to organize this, but
Yeah,
I don't know if we should just have this go arbitrarily.
Well, I don't know.
No,
if
it's not gonna go
everyone.
arbitrarily, no.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because this is gonna continue on Thursday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
there's more on Thursday,
Yeah.
we would like everyone to
And
join
there
us
is-
at our general board
I
office.
mean, and I think, if that was your question, I would like to follow it up with, my concern. So what's done is done. We are off.
Mhm.
This is our last meeting. Something may change in the future. My concern, and what I will be saying on Thursday is, it's a cautionary tale to whoever takes over
Yes.
our positions. Who is it gonna be? Is it gonna be people who are assigned that are going to vote outside of the will of the community? Or, as I suspect, it's going to be,
Puppets.
us.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think it'll be us, whoever's running the committee. And not to be intimidated. And to continue to do the work. If these elected officials are sitting in office. And not to be intimidated by this. We have to continue to do that. Even if we're just gonna continue to be absent.
Yep.
Didn't hurt. I mean, if I'm next, I can go.
Yep, you're next.
I will just say, to give some context and history, community boards in other boroughs are much more like this. Where people get thrown off, or people get put on because they can follow orders, they get taken off for stepping out of line, seats are left vacant forever. That contributed to a bad rep of community boards, and that's partly why term limits were passed. Manhattan has been different for at least 30 years. Ruth Messenger, Scott Stringer, and Gail Brewer have all consistently reformed the Manhattan Community Board process, made it more professional. They had applications with interviews and a rubric. And these were novel things, but they made Manhattan Community Boards the best in the city, hands down.
Hello,
And what we are seeing is,
you got someone here?
yeah, you have to raise your hand.
We have an order of hands on there right now. Can you raise your hand?
Okay, I don't know, you can't see me, can you see me?
Yes, we can.
No, you're on, but there's a raise hand function on Zoom. It's a button.
But James, we'll
We'll
call on
put
you after Ilana and Petriana.
So,
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
so what Mark Levine has done over these years by wiping out Tiffany, David Hansel, Anita Chang, Signe, Liz, this is all Housing and Land Use and Zoning Committee members. What Mark has done is systematically take a wrecking ball to the reforms that his predecessors made in terms of depoliticizing the community board appointment process. Now, it's an appointed position in city government. Of course, there will always be some political influence. But this is tearing down decades of work by past borough presidents to make the community boards responsive, representative, knowledgeable, and productive. And so I think that that context is important to have, and it's important to look at Board 5 as a cautionary tale.
Yep.
Board 5 had many of its best people, including, I think, one of the founders of Coalition for the Homeless, removed and replaced with plants from a lobbying group who would read from scripts when they bothered to show up at a meeting. And the work of the board ground to a halt. And, you know, a council member over there told me that when they go to CB5, either they don't have quorum because no one's there, or if people are there, they don't talk, and so the meeting is over in, you know, very quick time because they just all proceed. Or when they do talk, they still read from scripts. That's not how community boards are meant to work. That's not good for democracy. Democracy is under threat enough from the federal government. We do not need people in the borough president's office or the controller's office working to systematically dismantle local representation on a municipal level. All right, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Nat? So with that in mind, I would just simply remind those who are listening, institutional knowledge means something, okay? All of us were new at one time, and there were elders on this committee on this board who guided us through the process. And that matters. And this is an energy that is in the world today, that politicians are in positions for someone who's on the line and wants to say, it's not about Mark Levine, it's not about Sean. It is, because they have the authority. All right, yes. New people, anyone can do this, but there is a standard. And it does matter what the people of the community want. So what do? You let your voice be heard, because at the end of the day, we live in a time where our voices they're attempting to silence our voices. We need to use them. You can call Shauna Brado, you can call Mark Levine, and also we have to show up for each other. It's nice to have you guys here on Zoom. Come to community board meetings. Okay, we're not on the board. We don't have a vote. We're still here because we serve. And we serve at the behest of this community. And so we are still going to show up. We're not going anywhere. And I encourage you and spread the word to whoever. This is the time for us to come together, show up for each other, and hold these elected officials accountable. They don't get to do as they please. And then when we reach out to them, ignore us and literally tell us to kiss their tail. That does not work. It doesn't fly.
Thanks, Annette. Thank you, Annette. Yeah, Patriana, yes, thank you.
That's it. Oh.
Can you hear? Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so Barry, I have a question for you. First, why are you not on the board, the community board anymore? Did they just not renew you, or you just decided to quit? And then
I chose not to reapply because I suspected something like this would happen. And I thought that if I didn't reapply, I would reduce pressure on other members of the board, you know, to fall in line. And also, yeah, it was just.
Can I clarify something really quick? So, how many years ago there was term limits applied to all community board members, right?
Right.
Many of us are termed out in starting 2 years. 27. That's two years. Okay. I am included in that. I only had 2 years to go until I had to take a break. I had to take a 2-year break before I could apply again. I only had 2 years left. So this is obviously more than just, oh, you've been here too long or something like that. Barry also had to, there's a lot of people that would have been up 2 years from now and in 2030. And then in the next group, like 2032. So we're losing a lot of institutional knowledge with every term limit. We did not agree totally with those term limits when they came, because we knew we'd lose all this institutional knowledge. Now Barry is taking a year gap with the hope that he can continue forward and we can stagger ourselves better so we don't lose everything at once, right?
Right. So the next question is, being that there's no one else on the housing committee right now, do you think this is a result of that meeting that we had at the church about 1727? Because soon thereafter, Sean pulled the project. And just last month, I was on this meeting and you all were on the community board. And so, I mean,
I think it's a combination. I don't think it was just that meeting that did it. I think it is a combination of the one that we mentioned on the Amtrak and this one. What do you guys think?
Combination.
Definitely a combination. During the last candidate forum, he specifically spoke about 1720. In fact, he only spoke about 1727 because we're in these. Yeah.
Got it.
I think James argues.
Oh, yeah. James, you're next.
Yes, okay. Yes, I have a question. First of all, I agree with some of the things. I'm a registered voter, and I live actually uptown on Riverside Drive. I resided on Riverside on 153rd Street, and yes, on Riverside. Okay, so we had a construction that's been going on now for like 5 years, and they done took over 300 parking spots. Okay, I mean, I had a neighbor just passed away like about 2 months ago because the ambulance couldn't get to her, in time because of the bar case that's here on Riverside. And this project's been going on for over at least 5 years. Matter of fact, Thursday, I'm gonna come and sit down and explain more to you. It's been going on for so long, and it seems that no one has done anything about it. And I think it's time for people to be accounted for this action. How can this happen? Number one, I called 311. Okay, they tell me that they certificates are still active. If they're active, there's no work that has been done here in years. In years. If you ride here between 153rd on Riverside and go to 161st, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. And if you come down between Broadway and Riverside, they got it barricade all the way down there. They took over 300 parking space. And that's one issue. And those belly containers, that's what they're called for the sanitation they putting down. Those does anything but take up parking spots. I totally agree with what that gentleman was saying earlier, because the fact is, and I'm gonna explain it to you clearly. Most people, first of all, you need a key to open this gate. Only the super has this key to open these belly containers. So what most people do at night, they just take their garbage and just throw it out there on the side, just throw it on top. So the rats just goes right up top and grab the garbage. So it's actually defeat the purpose. So this been going on for 5 years, and if nothing don't be changed, like I said, people need to start exercising their right to vote. But people have to be accountable for that. Now, explain to me why it takes so long for this project to be going on. And when I call, they're still active. In other words, meaning that these people are supposed to be still working here. And I'm right here on Riverside. No one hasn't worked here in years. Years. So to me, there's something fraudulent, that something is definitely wrong there.
We would like our chair of the board to address this, James.
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Hardy. My name is Victor Edwards. I'm the chair of Community Board 9. I also live on Riverside. I've been monitoring that job for the past 3 years, right?
Okay.
Not working now. There's some problems with the contractor, but there has been work going on. A lot of it's underneath the viaduct. Support beams have been put in. Some other work's been done down below. We have asked several times recently why the work is not continuing, but there's some dispute between the city and the contractor. I know about the loss of parking spaces. I have friends that live in that area. I live near there as well. And that has been an issue. We keep pressing to try to get this thing finished. As far as the big belly bins, or whatever you want to call them,
that's what they call them.
Right. We pushed back tremendously here at Community Board 9 and worked with sanitation on this. and council member was, let's say, there was not transparency, we didn't get proper notice. We went all the way in line up to the Commissioner of Sanitation at that time to get some results. We didn't agree with the total plan. As far as the bins themselves, they're supposed to be accessed by the superintendents. The garbage from the individual apartments should be put in a container inside or outside the building. And at
Right,
that point,
I understand, but hold on, let me cut in between that. What I'm saying to you, okay, the
let
superintendents,
me
they,
finish my point, sir. Let me finish my point.
okay,
What
go
I'm
ahead.
saying is, they're supposed, residents have the responsibility of putting the garbage in containers in the basement or outside the building. Then that would be transferred into these bins instead of the supers putting black bags on the side of the sidewalk each evening where the rats were feasting. Now, whether the residents do that or not, that's the residents' responsibility to do the right thing as far as putting the garbage in the container in the building or in the basement.
Okay, let me respond to that. I live here for over 25 years now, 30 years. People on Riverside, a lot of people, when they come, they from out of town, they from different neighborhoods. They don't think about putting things in. I actually seen someone sit there and they had this pizza party. They go to McDonald's, they go to Popeyes, and all they do is take their food and just throw it on top of the bins. They don't care about that stuff. So it's not our responsibility when someone from outside is doing this, and this constantly happens all the time. I mean, this is a popular area.
Hey, James, I used to live on Riverside too. Do you have trash cans, public trash cans on your block? On the corner?
No, I live on Riverside. No, we don't.
No, I know, I mean, because I lived on 142 and we didn't have trash bins on our side of the block either. I mean, that's
Okay.
actually something that
Yeah.
sanitation, I mean, I might just say that. Is that we needed more public trash bins on the east side of Riverside, so that
Yes.
if there are people who are throwing things away, that they're.
I'm on the west side. I'm on the west side.
We did get those bins on the east side, Riverside, some addition.
You're not on the west side of Riverside.
One's on the west side.
Yes, I am. I live on west side. I'm not too far from you. I'm about like 10 minutes. If I get in my car right now, for example, and I try to drive, I can't find parking.
James, we hear you, and we're working on parking, we're working
Okay.
on apartment sanitation, I know those big belly things are awfully weird, we just got them at my house today.
Okay.
But much, appreciate you being here, thank you.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other hands raised?
Yeah,
Patrick?
I
Oh,
I have my
anyone?
hand raised first, but I wanted to say to that comment that it's not,
Oh, he want to say what I was saying,
yeah,
baby.
the community board, they have tried to address the parking issue. There was a resolution that was passed asking the city to, do residential parking because we have a lot of cars that are from outside coming into our communities, especially since congestion pricing started. So now we basically have a perfect storm. So, look at the community board. They have tried to do something, but these things now they have to be picked up by our electeds and they have to be put forth in the floor so they can come to a reality. But yeah, James, it's a problem for all of us here.
No more. No, move on. Thanks, Edwin. Patriana, you have your hand raised again, and I'm just gonna give a warning that it's 8:24, and we're not gonna do this for any more than. Sorry, I'm having a snack.
We're gonna go to 8:30 and then we're gonna move on.
No, I just wanted to hear what Barry had responded to because I had gotten cut off, and then just what are next steps and who else is going to be on the committee. So that's all I really had to follow up on that because my computer had died.
So I will say, next steps for everyone are keep attending meetings. Keep attending both these meetings. If you're concerned about roads and traffic and all of that, attend the Uniform Services Transportation. Our website is C as in Charlie, B as in boy, 9, the number, And then M is in Mary.org, CB9M.org. We have our calendar there. The general board meeting is this Thursday. There is a public session that you can sign up to speak at for 3 minutes. So like, the more people are ever involved in the community board, the stronger the board is and the more we address this, number one. Number two, you can let our elected officials know your thoughts always on any issue by calling their office, emailing them, stopping them in the street if you see them. But you know, like, this is just the work of the second job of citizenry of being engaged. And so I know you are obviously engaged, and we've been at the same community meetings together, but then we have to take that back to our neighbors and our friends and let them know what's happening and going on so that they can also pay attention or at least be informed. And I think that those are next steps. I think teaching whoever comes after us on the board are next steps. I have filed paperwork to join this committee as a public member, like Tanya has, and Jared has, and Olga and Anita, and Annette. And so we're not going anywhere. We're gonna be here to try to be a resource and to, still do what we can for our community. But if you didn't apply this year, apply to the board next year too. We'll have a new borough president no matter what.
Probably. They also should, when somebody attacks me and the board of ed, I go to the supervisor. And I write to everybody I know, my union and every person I can talk to. We need to write emails and put this up there, I'm sure, I don't know. James will be interested, I don't know if she is or not, but I don't care. I just wanna put it out there so everybody can see what's happening. This man cannot get away with it.
So are you saying one, everybody knows your name?
No, only DOE supervisor.
Yeah, I'm joking.
We have 3 minutes left. We have two people, sorry, Annette, two people that still have their hands raised, so the last two comments are gonna be to Tanya and then Danny.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to throw one idea out there. I ran into Barry the other day and mentioned this to him. What about a network across community boards? What about organizing with other community boards across the city? I know that, the district manager, Celeste Leon, who's the district manager of Community Board 4 in Bushwick, has been really interested for a long time in trying to create some kind of unity across community boards. And this feels like such a great opportunity to unite and sort of do some coalition building across community boards. It feels like a big thing for one community board to take on, but if there's ever been a reason to sort of connect across community boards, what are there, 51 of them? This feels like the moment. So I would just throw that out there as an idea. It feels like there could be real power in uniting with other community boards.
I presented that resolution HPD grant to community board 12 and 7 Pacific. So 10, yeah. And Charles Powell, he's the chair for CB10.
Yeah.
The housing chair.
That has, yeah.
Right, he said that actually April used to do a coffee and bagel.
We did, yes.
Yeah.
We used to do, all the chairs would get together and have coffee.
Second do that. Danny? You have any?
Hi. I know I only have 1 minute left, so just want to say again, thank you to all of you for your service. And this is, we're going to try to do whatever we can to raise this issue up. But what is the current contingency plan for having only one member left in the committee? How are you going to continue to run these meetings regularly, or, is there what's going to be the next steps other than Thursday?
The next
Our
step.
chair.
Good evening. The next step, I'm the chair of the board, Victor Edwards. The next steps, I have to look at who's on the board at this time to decide who we can move over. And we have 17 new people being appointed to this board. I will look at their backgrounds to see who and what might fit this committee along with the other committees. I have to find 2 new co-chairs for this committee as well, which It's been on my mind for the last 4 days, trying to figure that out. But we'll just have to, do the best we can. I like to say this to everybody that's on the line and here. There's an election coming up for several different positions, including city council member for this district. Keep that in mind.
Thank you for your service, but you
Say
have
again?
2 great co-chairs right in front of you. So I don't know why we need to reevaluate it.
Rob, he knows that. He knows that. Trust me. He's not allowed to, appoint us again. That's not his
Right, so
right now. Yeah.
That's quickly one thing. I just want to say that I completely understand the, palpable anger that I've witnessed tonight. Mark Levine and Sean Abreu tout their service on community boards, but by denying your reappointments, it shows to me a real lack of respect for both of you, the lack of the work that you've done over these years, which I'm very familiar with, and also for the community board. I don't know how you can, on the one hand, say, I've been a member of the community board, I've contributed, and then deny people who are doing this work day in and day out the opportunity to continue that same work. And I agree with what many people here have said. The real power is not with the politician. The real power is with the people who come and do the work every day and who live in this community and who force the politicians to adapt to what we need. We have needs and we have to make sure that our needs are met. And we will. I know that you guys will continue to do the work. And so thank you for everything that you've done and thank you for everyone here. Yeah, thank you. I look forward to seeing you still in the future.
Just know, Liz and I will continue to do the good work we do in this community. We have many things we do beyond just the community board. And it's not just the community board. It is all of us. It is you, it is me, it is us together, right?
And
It's the voice of the community that we represent.
I mean, I don't feel personally attacked, to be quite honest.
No,
That's not surprising.
I don't feel like
that's funny.
me, Liz, like anything about me. It's not about me. It's about the community board. It's about the community. It's about leadership.
Yeah.
It's about them. It's not about me. I don't, honestly, it's like, they're just small people. So I think
There's ego involved,
Right.
I know this.
it's important
Our
that
feelings on some people's side, it's not us.
we continue to remain functional.
Yeah.
In, despite.
Come to the meetings with us as public members and as community members.
How many of you guys get those mailers as super prime voters? Yeah, so you've probably seen, I stand up to Washington, I stand up to bullies. Kind of ironic, right? Well, part of speaking truth to power isn't just our electeds, it's also our media. Because one of the first things that the New York Times wrote about after Levine changed the application for the community board was they praised him for creating an environment that's more welcoming to housing. They didn't care what type of housing it was, but it was ostensibly someone who claims to be more pro-housing. So perhaps we need a follow-up op-ed on the devil that's those details. So Patch City. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the Times may not care.
Well, we will, so I think we're gonna wrap. We'll continue this at least in part during Thursday's special board meeting. If anyone, I'm planning on participating during public session. I think Sydney is. Anyone else? I mean, we don't want to blow up the public session, but I'm sure this will be discussed on Thursday as well. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone online.
Thank you.
It's 8:35.
So
We have
the old
old
business
business?
is on here, we should probably just quickly go through, but
For legislation, we are watching, I don't have an RKO update, but legislation we are watching. There's bill, S.
putting the agenda back on the screen so you guys see what we're talking about.
S, where is it? Sorry, it'll, S 6685, which is the bill to amend the language for Health and Hospitals Corporation Act, passed committee. So it is out of committee in the Senate. It has been, I think, it's still in committee in the Assembly, but we should really try to get that passed before the end of the legislative session in June. So I've reached out to her office to just ask if there's anything we can do to really try to get this through. You know, having spoken to someone who is an attorney, they said, oh, like that would definitively kill any attempts to circumvent land use or EULR, excuse me, for that project. And of course, before they said that, they were like, well, how can they do this? It's not legal. I'm like, we know it's not legal, but they're still doing it. So once they got over the initial shock of illegal things being done with Manhattan real estate, they were like, that bill would definitively close the book on that. Even though it's not really a question. That's the legislative update I have.
Okay, I did see Walter Alexander during the exec committee meeting last week, and he. Just in terms of RKO, he said that there were positive things happening at RKO. He didn't tell me exactly what that meant, but he said there were positive things happening. Okay. Well, it was great.
Yes, details?
No, I, not real details. I saw, Dan Cohen at a meeting recently, and he had favorable thoughts because what happened with the Metro Theater.
Right.
Something along those lines. He was looking forward to that translated to something in town as well, so.
Let's see, developments we're watching, well, as usual, you are our eyes and ears, everybody on this committee and everybody in this call. We're always looking to you to tell us if you see things going on, that's how we learned about 1727.
But you had one.
Yeah, there's one that I found this morning,
Great.
16 to 2050. I think, I sent some information about an email. It's, if you know, like the end of like 128, where the streets kind of randomly ends up with a staircase, there's like an empty lot next to it that I think is more like a surprise parking spot, for parking lot. And that is R7A, and there are plans filed, or not plans filed, but there's a purchase made with the intent to build 15 units, or sorry, 75 units with 15 at 60% nearby.
That's good.
So that's like under city of yes, and all basic.
Better.
45.
Love to know the history about why that street got separated. And I would love to know the history of why that street is.
The very short history of that is because Manhattanville was not part of New York City and thus was not on the grid. And then when it became absorbed by New York City, they had to align the grid, and that was,
What century?
19.
The 19th century, really? This is really dating back to the 19th century?
St. Mary's Church is like 200 years old or something, that was the first church in.
Yeah.
But so Manhattanville was originally oriented around the waterfront.
Yeah.
There was a dock, there were eventually trains.
Yeah.
And so that orientation is why 125th Street for us is at a very different angle than the rest of 125th Street. And that's why we don't have certain streets past Broadway or Amsterdam.
Because when Clayton, you sent that, I was like, I walk down Convent and wonder that all the time, and wonder if there's an opportunity there to, with a construction project of healing those roads. I think that would be better for public safety of having that street be a through street again.
I don't think it ever was. I mean, before.
I mean, it's a topographical issue of Convent is higher than the western side of 128th Street.
Yeah, that's where Skrilla Hill kind of like ends, and so, I don't know that you, oh, you mean under the.
Under the street, yeah.
I don't know.
Like, is there a way of healing that through? And I don't know, we are the community board of yes over here, like, I would be willing to like, do some kind of like housing bonus. If they're gonna do construction there, if we can find a way to like make it better for the public with those streets. Just a thought.
Now, there was something that occurred to me too, because I've walked along there a lot as a student. And the stairs are really poor repair, you know,
Yeah.
it's just, it's not, regardless of whether it's a through street, it's not a nice interface.
Yeah.
Both sides both 28. So,
There's a security booth that's never manned.
yeah.
So whoever is running this committee, it would be great for them to invite that developer to a meeting. So we can talk about their plans and maybe for the streetscape. And
Bring up on 129, the industrial building next to the lot that's said to become housing, it's for about 129, 130. On 129. That building has become an Amazon parking location. I'm not sure if you were aware. It's so I've walked by recently on at least 2 occasions, and the building had always been shut. I walk by that building often. There were 45 Amazon delivery. They're like not really bikes, they're more like tripods or
Bicycles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this happened very quickly. It's very well organized, and I don't know what kind of, plans they've made for that building, whether or not they've taken into account. So I just thought I would let everyone know. I don't know if anyone was familiar with this. Yeah, 129 between Auckland and
I know, we're gonna put the peanut.
We're gonna put the
chart.
peanut on the board.
Yes, you're gonna. Athena is the
Athena is the new committee chair.
All right,
Before we go from developments, I just wanna say, I know, speaking of institutional knowledge, so there's a lot of institutional knowledge, right? We're not going anywhere, yes, but I do have a spreadsheet that maybe we need to update before. End of summer, let's say, and help with that before we see who's running on.
I also have like some dark arts that I do quickly in Berlin, so I try to show.
That would be a
Because it's a lot faster if you'd like to write.
If you're willing, before you
data.
leave at the end of June here,
Yeah.
whatever it is, help us update that spreadsheet we have, so that they have a running tally of some of this institutional knowledge.
And also show us how to do the searching.
Yeah, if I just find one person who's gonna be on the committee next year, I can. Yeah, do that.
Don't know if we're gonna know that before you leave.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can also do that.
And Ashley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah, and that would be a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
chance to give her some training.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a great chance to give her some skills. But yeah, I will help. If us can get together and just like our collective knowledge, make sure that that is something, not that we're gone, we just wanna make sure it's written down somewhere.
I know where you live.
You know how to take me to breakfast,
There you go, yes.
alright.
public member updates? Oh, I see you and.
Jared's on the line, we didn't see you before, Jared, and welcome, I think you know the update. So, Tanya and Jared, I think we have a new public member coming on board with you.
I think you have a couple.
I think we might have a couple coming on board. So Tanya and Jared, I hope you will accept a few new public members coming your way. We will officially put some public member forms into the board office here, okay?
To your ways.
Yes, teach us your public ways.
Just make sure that you fill out a form first. You know the process, Igni.
I went through that process a few years back and more to follow. So yes, I think I remember it. Thank you.
I'm kidding, of course.
Thank you, and I just want to say thank you all for being involved and engaged public members. We cannot, as a few members on a committee, do this job without the rest of you involved. And that's why we're a communal voice, and that's why we need quote unquote public members, right? To help us lift the waves. So thank you for that.
And Signe, before you all jump off,
Hi,
I just
you will.
wonder, hi. I'll have to listen to the recording later because I was switching between 9 and 10 tonight. So it was really confusing. But I just wanted to to say how shocked I was at the news, and also to thank you both, and Barry, for your commitment and hard work over the years. But I hope this does not mean that you will stop being, a part of the discussion at CB9, and that you will stay engaged. Because this story hasn't ended yet. And we
Trust me, I think we're just getting started over here.
it's just getting started, okay?
They chose the wrong community, let's just say that.
Especially after today, the second day of our council member dropping these huge bins throughout the historic district and elsewhere in Harlem. And without any follow-up to the community board as to it looks like a second phase or anything. And I did hear you say earlier that, we're not here at his behest. I mean, he's in position because the community put him there. But let me say that Hamilton Heights will need to find its voice in a big way beyond the community board. And that's what I will be working on. But thank you so much again for all your hard work. Yeah.
Siri agrees. All right.
NYCHA updates, we had a brief from Donald Notice and the rep building construction at Exec. They are installing 1,300 security cameras in Manhattanville houses, which raises my red flags around privacy. They are using artificial intelligence to monitor
More cameras than they have units.
Right, more cameras than there are apartments, but when we raised that question, they said the residents have understand and raised those concerns, but also are making a trade-off in terms of the increased security. But they are doing construction now on 95 Old Broadway, among others. And they are doing the deep construction where they remove the walls and they fix the drain, the septic lines, wastewater lines, and the electrical wiring, and all of that work is proceeding. And and the boilers are working now, but they are building new boilers inside the main boiler room. And as those 5 or 4 come online, they'll no longer need the external boilers.
The cameras. Because there's so many, does that mean they're putting cameras on every floor?
Not only every floor, they're putting 5 or 6 on every floor. 1 looking in each direction of the Y, 1 on the balcony, and 1 on each fire stairwell. Yeah. It's a lot of cameras.
Some people think there was a shooting recently in the.
Oh, they used those cameras which were already in 545 West 126th Street. The police were able to review it and identify the shooter. Yeah. Andrea Brecker, who actually just got appointed to CB9, is also on an HCC's board. There's an MHCC update.
Yeah, Andrea, is there an MHCC update?
Will be a general board.
Yeah, and welcome, by the way, Andrew, congratulations on your appointment.
Hey.
You too could be a co-chair.
Yeah, we have a housing meeting on Thursday. So that's gonna start earlier so we can come to the general meeting at the forum on Thursday.
Great.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. Any till updates?
I think I told everyone already the newly released till budget has $520,000 per apartment budgeted for till reconstruction.
$500,000 per apartment?
Yeah, It is bananas.
Wow.
And it's because they are attempting to capitalize costs associated with relocating tenants, which I can't consent. But so yeah, if I were looking for waste, fraud, and abuse, if I were the Inspector General of HPD, I'd be. It's one area where close eyes probably are merited, because why does it cost $520,000 per apartment? But at least they are putting money behind it and attempting to move that through, and also allegedly they will not require private debt anymore. They'll still have an HPD loan, which is a whole separate other issue, but incremental progress.
Good,
Oh,
good. Any other old business? Not seeing any, we don't have any action items tonight. Other than to, I guess, for Victor to find the code.
I knew the city.
And Juan and Ilana, we're not leaving you. We're here for questions, we're here for institutional knowledge, we're not leaving you, okay?
But you are now the senior and only members of the committee. Where do we start?
I'm gonna just come off of LOA to go to the meeting on Thursday because I want to be there. You guys are gonna bring this up, right? At the general board is this Thursday, right? Or is that?
Yeah, Liz and I will be making statements from the floors. Very
Well,
sadly, we won't be there.
I'll be there. I'll come off of LOA early because this is just ridiculous, you know.
Thanks, Alana.
Does DCP have an update?
Oh yeah, we have Audrey here.
Audrey, we skipped you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, we've been distracted. We apologize, Audrey. Please tell us.
No, it's all good. I think that you've covered everything. This news about the board appointments was new to me. So if there's any more information that you think would be helpful for me to know, perhaps we can talk offline or whenever is convenient. Other than that, I have no updates to share. But if anyone has any questions or wants me to look into anything, please let me know.
Are there any other citywide text amendments cooking?
To the best of my knowledge, no. But
well, we still have a semblance of a board here tonight.
There are no text amendments. They don't know if they're gonna have a job yet.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I will say there is an info session coming up about the Manhattan Plan. I always want to say Manhattan Project, but that's not right.
That was in the district, by the way.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
On the street in the Nashville.
Yeah.
And sorry, say it one more time.
No, I was, so we're across the street from the building that originally housed the Manhattan Project.
Oh, whoa. Oh, that's wild. Well, maybe come to this information meeting and share your thoughts. Maybe it can be one of the selected sites for housing or whatever they decide. But all kidding aside, I think that community board members should have received an email about an upcoming information session. I'm just pulling it up quickly. There will be an info session online about the Manhattan Plan on May 28th or May 29th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. It's a virtual meeting. Did your board get an invite to that?
I did.
Okay. It should have come in on the 2nd of May.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Plan preview meeting was the subject line.
Exactly. And so I believe it's open to, it's open to all. So definitely I know the folks who are working on this would appreciate you coming out and sharing your ideas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did. Yeah, we did get it.
I have a quick question for Audrey. That's cool.
Yeah, sure.
Regarding the Manhattan Plan, when I look on the website, it says something about the Midtown South mixed use plan and something about 100 Gold Street. It seems like it's pretty site specific. Are there broader implications outside of those sites?
So that's a great question. I wish that I could answer that for you right now. I actually, in full transparency, have about as much information as the public does on the plan right now, which is to say the information is forthcoming. So from what I understand, it is a comprehensive look at anywhere that housing could be developed in the city. And so that does include some, ongoing or in process projects like the Midtown South, projected housing for that rezoning and for the 100 gold conversion. But beyond that, that is all the information I have right now.
Okay. And Audrey, I would just say, after tonight's meeting, until we know who's going to take over, if you have any updates, send them directly to to the district manager's office.
Okay.
So they can get distributed.
Will do.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Liz.
you for always being at these meetings, by the way.
Yeah.
Like you and Jose together have been the most incredible reps from the
Uh-huh.
Department of City Planning we've ever had.
Of any agency.
Yeah.
Of any agency.
Yes.
Well, that's really kind of you to say. I really enjoy coming to your meetings. I feel like I learned so much from hearing from everyone on the board and community stakeholders, and your knowledge and expertise about all kinds of zoning issues and the depth in which you debate and seek to understand them and do understand them is really incredible. So it makes my job really fun and interesting, and I'm so happy that we get to work together.
Yes. We'll be here in the chief.
Or continue to work together.
We'll be in the nosebleeds back here. The voice will be the same. Okay.
We've lost Tiff and Athena. We don't have any action items. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Liz, shall we push the gavel together? We officially call this meeting to close. Boom.
8:58.
Thank you, everyone.
End of an era.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. See you on Thursday. Please come on Thursday.
So you resigned, right?
I chose to not reply.
So,
Which means that
hit
you
stop.
will not reply ever again?